Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today in Family Office Insights series. We're super happy to have Caldwell Companies and our principals and guests. We are fortunate today to have Caldwell and one of their active investors to chat in about why they're optimistic about the firm and the real estate opportunities in the region. So as usual, we know you're there. We can't hear or see you, but you're welcome to put your questions in the chat box of the Q&A, and please put them when they come to mind, and we'll get to as many as possible for sure. So we're going to be recording this today. We're posting it to the Family Office Insights YouTube channel, and so you'll have access to it there. And if after you hear what we go over today, if there are others in your community or your colleagues that might find this interesting, you're certainly welcome to get in touch with Ronnie and Miranda directly. We'll make sure we cause that to happen. So with that, thank you again for joining us and welcome Ronnie, Miranda, Dick. Please, Ronnie, take it away.
Thank you, Arthur. Well, we're really appreciative of everyone who's joined us today. I'm going to introduce myself and Miranda and Dick, and then from there, my plan is to present to sort of four basic things today, which we'll walk through those. It'll be broadly, and then it will get a little more narrow toward the end, specifically with some of the opportunities we have. But my name's Ronnie Hale. I am the CFO and Chief Investment Officer here at Caldwell. Been with the company for 15 years. Miranda Hadamick and I work together in our investment side of our business, which is the team that does all the due diligence, capital raising, financial evaluation, monitoring, et cetera, of our investments here at Caldwell Companies. Caldwell Companies it's interesting. Last week we celebrated our 35th year. We had a big party on last Thursday. And we're very thankful for the company. It's been a very successful company. The team here that you see on the screen, Fred Caldwell is the principal of the company. He started the company back in 1990. Everybody you see on this page, the least period of time that they've worked for this company is probably 15 years. Miranda and I have been with the company for 15 years. Peter's been with the company for over 20. Todd Johnson has been with it 19, Brad Fishman 22, Jennifer Simmons probably 13. So we have a very, very stable leadership team, and which is, I think, a little bit of a testament to our company and our culture, which is very important to us. We're a very culture-driven firm, all at Fred's leadership. And Miranda, why don't you give just a little background for yourself, and Dick is one of our investors, and he can introduce himself as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Miranda Hadamick, as Ronnie said. I'm EVP of investments here. Been with the firm 15 years. Work with Ronnie to raise all the capital that goes into the different development projects that we do. We're a fully integrated real estate company, so a variety of projects, which we'll get into. But I've worked in various roles in our company, so different opportunities on the development side and the asset side. So yeah, happy to be here.
Dick?
Yeah, Ronnie, Dick Wynn. I live in Houston. I am a retired private equity lawyer that started investing with Ronnie and Miranda a dozen years ago, and I'll talk about that more in a few minutes.
Yeah, perfect.
Great.
Well, a little bit about our company. So this is a picture of everybody, and behind us there, we're standing in the boardwalk, which is where our office is, which is a commercial development that we've done inside one of our big master plan communities, Town Lake. But this is our entire team. Today we have about 170 people, 170 associates with the company today. When Miranda and I started, I think that number was about 60. So the company has been very successful and has experienced quite a bit of growth over the time frame. And we'll speak to a little bit of what we've done. Miranda, let's go to the next slide. This is just really sort of a 35-year history. What I think is interesting about this is in 1990, when the firm started, we were involved in suburban office, suburban industrial, a variety of suburban businesses, but not as heavily residential as we are today. Today, I would define us as a lifestyle company, heavily focused on creating community, creating residential developments, both for rent and for sale, that improve the lives of the residents. That's really what's most important to us, is what we build. We have a long history of residential development, but it was interesting how we've moved from what was originally a suburban office and industrial firm to what we are today. And that transition really happened in the late 1990s and early 2000s. But Fred built a portfolio of industrial and office and sold it all like in 2006, 2007, which is a very fortuitous time, as you can imagine, to liquidate a portfolio of suburban properties. But the company really made a meaningful and significant shift in and around that time frame into residential development, both rental and for sale. 2004 is on here. That's a sort of a landmark for the company. Is that when we bought the 2,400 acres that became Town Lake, and Town Lake has been our flagship master plan community. And I say flagship because it was the first large one we've done. We've done several since, but it has ultimately became 4,000 homes. And today we have 3 lots left out of those 4,000 homes. So it has been a 20-year labor of love to create this community, but it was the first one we've done. It was very, very successful, and we've got 3 or 4 now that are ongoing, which I'll speak to in a little more detail in a second. So,
Hey, Ronnie, can you just tell us where that is in Texas?
Okay. So Caldwell Companies is headquartered and operates out of Houston, and it's suburban Houston, Northwest Houston. So the pictures you're going to see, most of them are in Northwest Houston. Town Lake is it's really in what's called the community called Cypress, which is probably 30 minutes northwest of Houston proper. And that's where we have operated. We are a suburban developer. We don't do anything in the core. That's just not what we do. We are a suburban developer of everything we do. But that's where we've really spent the last 35 years, is in suburban Houston, and in this Texas triangle. We have some other developments in and around the state, but we got our start in Houston.
Great, thanks.
Sure. So we're gonna show you a lot of pictures, because I think pictures tell the story of what it is we do. But we are a very, very design-oriented firm. So we spend a tremendous amount of time on the front end of creating what we believe will enhance and improve the lives of our residents. We spend an equal and comparable amount of time in economic due diligence and financial evaluation and modeling. So we are a very data-driven company, both from the research and evaluation part of it, as well as the design. And when I speak about design, I speak more than just drawing the buildings we're going to build. Design encompasses what we believe are the aspects of a community that will improve and speak to our residents. And that might be multi-generational, traditional residential land. It might be an active adult community. We try to take into all of the information that we have earned and learned over the 35 years of operating to incorporate that into design of what we build. And so that is probably the overarching part of how Caldwell approaches. And the ultimate objective there is to create sticky residents, sticky tenants, people who are so enamored with where they live and the experience they have that they don't want to leave, and they recommend our communities to others, which is our best sort of advertising. All right. I'll spend a minute speaking to the little sort of lines of business. So residential rental for us comes in 3 different brands. Asher is our traditional multifamily, meaning suburban garden style multifamily communities that we've developed. We've done several of those. Cadence Creek is a active adult only rental community. So it's a multifamily rental community targeting active adult, 55 and above. 55 and better is what we like to say. And then Morella is our build for rent single family community where we're buying a piece of land and developing homes that ultimately are for rent and then sold as a package, similar to what you would call an apartment complex. It's just a complex filled with single family homes. And so those are the three areas we operate from the rental side. This is, and I put my glasses on, but this is just a brief list of the communities that we have developed and are currently developing. We have two of them that are under construction today. We have two Cadence projects that are in lease up. So we've got experience in this, but the residential rental is a area of focus for us prospectively. We've been at it and active doing it for the last 3 or 4 years in earnest, and that is where we see a significant amount of growth, partially driven by demographics, and there's a change in attitude with respect to home ownership and rental. We think we can address that. But this is where we are spending a meaningful amount of our time growing our business is in the residential rental. Residential master plan communities. So these are the large lots, the large tracts where we are developing horizontally, building all the amenities, and selling lots to home builders. And so in every one of these communities, we've probably got 8, 10, 12 home builders that are consuming the lots that we create and then ultimately building homes and selling. So these are all assets that you build and then you sell them off and they disappear over time. Like I said, Town Lake's got some commercial acreage remaining, but it's only got 3 lots left. But the Highlands and Chambers Creek, those are all several thousand acre communities that are actively in development. The rest of these are some have completed, some are still ongoing, but the 3 or 4 big ones we have today are Town Lake, the Highlands, Chambers Creek, and Mission Ranch, which is located up in Bryan College Station.
And you're not doing the development. There's usually a developer involved, right?
We do the development.
You do
We
the
are the
development?
developer. Yeah, all the
Ah.
design, the development, that's all in our in-house.
Yeah.
So
And
in that
that's really
Dell
our
Web, it's
expertise.
just a Dell Web branding.
It was a sort of a build to suit for Del Webb. They were the only builder in the community, but we were the developer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in addition to the residential side, we've done a significant amount of commercial. And when I say commercial, I mean, we've done retail. The picture you see here is Town Lake, in Town Lake, which is the boardwalk, which is a mixed use community that we created. Our office is actually, if you see the red circle where it says boardwalk at Town Lake, that's our office is right through there. So we office here on our property. But this is a 2-story mixed use deal with residential and entertainment on the bottom, office and retail office on the second floor. It's done very well, and it really has become sort of the hub out here, a destination for where people commune and locate. Town Lake is interesting because we built a 300-acre lake, and that's why it's called Town Lake. The lake did not exist. This was a big, huge
Flat piece of land.
big flat piece of land, and we built a 300-acre lake. And so people have boats at their house, and you can see at the bottom of the picture, they will take their boat in here and come to dinner at the boardwalk. And so it's a really unique design. The idea that you were going to take this piece of land and create this community with a lake in it was sort of unheard of. What's positive about that, for our perspective, is it's all part of the engineering for residential horizontal development. You got to move the water. You got to create drainage. It stores for irrigation. It has a multi-purpose environmentally for us, and but it also makes for a very scenic community with lake views and lots on the lake and that sort of thing. In addition to those, we are always a land investor, and by land investor, we've been buying land the entire history of the company. Land primarily in the path of growth. That's the objective, which you have to sometimes look out a ways. You have to recognize you're going to buy this land. You may own this land 5 years. You might own this land 10 years. But we believe land is a very, very safe haven for wealth. Your floor is, you have a very solid floor with respect to how the investment will do. But we are routinely buying land when we see opportunities to do so, and we'll continue to do that going forward. This is just to give you a little bit of scale as to what the company has done in its 35 years. 15,000 lots, 2,500 lots that are specific to active adult buyers. 11,000, get my last acres, isn't it? 11,000 acres, 1,400 market rate traditional multifamily units we built, 540 multifamily units that are 55 and above, and then 204 units that are active adult. We've done one active adult community, which is now in lease up, which we're proud
Built
of.
to rent.
I'm sorry, built to rent, and which is currently in lease up, but it is finished with construction. So, and then there's also some commercial numbers there as well. So you can see that over the 35-year history, we've done a lot of things, but the focus, I would tell you, over the coming years is going to be in the residential land development and the commercial part of that. So, if you ask in Houston and in Texas about Caldwell Companies, I think you will receive a very positive feedback. We're an award-winning developer. And these awards are driven by the quality of the lifestyle you've created, the quality of the community you've created, the amenities that you do. All of those things come from the Greater Houston Home Builder Association, Best Places to Work, the Prism Awards. There's just a variety of those things, and we've been really, really pleased and honored with the recognition that we've received for the communities that we've created. And this is I'm going to introduce Dick here, but so all those things. So our focus is on creating these communities, and our belief and experience is if we do that really, really well, the financial performance follows. We're not a company that's going to chase financial results. You will never see us do a value add. We're not a value add type of developer. We're going to build very nice things, and we're going to lease them up, and we're going to sell the community. But we're not going to be a value add type developer. But we have been very successful for our investors. Since the inception, we've created $2.4 billion worth of real estate assets that have been under management in that time frame. We have about $1 billion remaining today, but we have realized for our investors, on average, over this 35 years, an 18.1% IRR and a 2.4 multiple of their invested dollars. We've literally, in the 35-year history, we've had one transaction where we lost money, lost equity dollars, and we lost part of the equity dollars, but it still galls Fred to admit. It bothers him that we did, and it was a corner. Had we kept that corner 5 more years, which is really sort of a lot of times the solution for real estate, had we kept that corner 5 more years, we'd have made excellent money. But the partners and all agreed and elected that they didn't want to make any more cash calls, and so they let it go. In hindsight, if you'd have kept it, the city would have wrapped around that corner. But we've been very successful over the life of and our investor pool. The people who invest with us have been investing with us for 35 years. We are very much a family office, high net worth and ultra high net worth investor play. That's where our investor base is. We have a very limited number of institutional investors, partly because we've been successful with the investors we've had. They just stayed with us. But we do have some growth objectives prospectively that result in a need for a broader, deeper investor pool, which is part of the reason, Arthur, we're talking to your group. But Dick, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you just tell us your experience, so a little color from someone who's put money with the company and your expectations.
Yeah, Ronnie, thanks. I'm happy to do that and appreciate participating today. Like I said, I was a corporate lawyer for almost 40 years, most recently with Winston and Strawn out of Chicago. So I was a witness to hundreds of deals over the years, a lot of private equity. And during that time, I became interested in becoming a private equity investor. I saw my clients making lots of dough, so I thought I would play ball with that too. So that experience was really in the traditional blind pool 80-22 structure of private equity. And my experience with that has been mixed, to put it charitably. So I felt like I needed to branch out over time and find some other types of investment vehicles. I've known Ronnie for 25 years, well before he became an executive at Caldwell. But I'll give you a quick story. He approached me about 12 years ago and said he wanted to show me a deal. And so I was interested in that. Didn't know anything about real estate investing. And this deal was a land deal they were going to develop for pad sites, um, retail, fast food, and sell off the pad sites. So, like any good corporate lawyer, I thought I need to do my due diligence. So I got in my car, drove out to Northwest Houston, where this was, and drove around, found the property. And I thought, why in the world would anybody invest in this property? There's lots of land, and I thought that's a lot of supply. That's bad, I think. I don't get it. So I said, Ronnie, I just don't understand. And I passed on the deal. Well, that deal ended up being one of the best deals they ever did. It was a 5 times your money deal. He came to me later. Sorry you weren't in the deal. It was 5X deal. It happened to be at the entrance of a large college that was growing rapidly. So they sold it out and made lots of money. So I learned my lesson the hard way on that. So I decided to take a harder look at the Caldwell deals if I got a chance to look at another one, and fortunately I did. My feeling was, as a conservative investor, that at the end of the project, I would have what I call as a hard asset, either a piece of land or a building that wasn't going anywhere. And that was opposed to my experience in private equity, where if we had a crummy management team, they could drive an investment to zero very quickly. I just didn't see that happening here. So as a conservative investor, I wanted to preserve my capital, and that has been my experience. Um, at the time, go back 12 years when you had quantitative easing, I had a real fear of inflation as well. So a way to park some money is to do deals like this. I thought of it in terms of investing as a limited partner, putting the documents in my desk drawer, and looking up in a few years and see what happens. And that's been a good program for me. So my experience has been that I've invested in 24 deals over the years. 7 of those deals have been realized. So I still have a significant investment with Caldwell that I'm very happy with. Uh, the the returns here have been exactly what Ronnie's talking about. Over 2 times realized LP multiple on the money that I've invested. And I calculate about an 18% return. I just saw this presentation a few minutes ago. So the 18% was a pretty good estimate. Um, never a loss on any deal. I think the most difficult deal that we've had returned 10% on our money, compounded. So I've been very happy with that. No losses. That's always good. But I'll leave you with the secret sauce that Caldwell has, and that's that they have a competitive advantage in the market. Being 35 years in Northwest Houston, towards College Station, to Waco, over to the east into the Woodlands area and Kingwood, they just have the properties covered, and they've got ears on the ground, like boots on the ground, that get this done and have more information than their competitors. So I have a lot of confidence that I'm getting in on a deal where there is a competitive advantage. So I've been very happy with everything, and I look forward to continuing my relationship with Caldwell.
Yeah, well, and thank you, Dick. And Dick's back. Dick is he sort of heads the family, and and I'm not, without getting into great detail, but Dick and the family are 8-digit investors with us across multiple things. He's got so I guess you're the patriarch, Dick.
Yeah, but I'm looking more like the patriarch all
You
the
look like
time.
the patriarch. Yeah, if you lose more hair, you'll be officially the patriarch. But
There you go.
so, but we are, and Dick is very representative of the type of investors that we seek, and the type of investors who've been with us all these years. And so I really appreciate you hopping on and giving us that little sort of testimonial. But again, I'm pretty sensitive. I don't invite a lot of friends into deals only because you just have to be careful, right? But one thing's about, and just like Dick, I've been in other industries too. I like that there's a really, really solid floor that is created by real estate investing. You have to really, really mess it up. not have something for your investors. And we've been and we're pretty diligent about how we go about evaluating these things. So
Mhm.
I think
Yeah, it's
that's
not like venture investing where it could go to zero, or private
yeah,
equity, for
yeah,
example, right?
exactly.
So Dick, Ronnie, if you don't mind, I can ask
Yeah,
Dick a question.
but
So I think I could do the math, but it would be interesting. 24 deals is a lot of deals, so good for you. I mean, it's nice that you've been able to do that. Over what time frame was that?
That's about a 12-year period. So it's only a couple deals a year.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's kind of grown a lot more than I would have thought. Look up and you have, a spreadsheet full of deals. And I was talking to somebody about my experience recently and talking to them about investing with Caldwell. And I kind of flashed my spreadsheet at them and they're like, I'm jealous. I wish I were in 24 real estate deals. It just
Exactly.
takes a while to build that portfolio.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that I have that on behalf of my family.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too much in the weeds because I know you're going to get into part of it on the proposed deals that are active. But one of the things I think uh, that is an advantage is when you're investing in these deals with Caldwell, a lot of the real estate goodies that I call pass through to you, right? The, the depreciation, the
oh
tax
yeah.
benefits, the cash flow, the cash on cash returns. Is that how that you've been handling it so far, Ronnie?
Yes, and so everybody, we all of our deals are special purpose entities, standalone investment, and these are limited partner investors. So all the tax benefits driven by accelerated depreciation and all of that flow through to the partners. So a good example on one of these multifamily projects, you build them and you have substantial depreciation that is generated from the construction of these assets. And when you talk about cost segregation, when you buy an asset that's in existence, you go through a cost segregation because you bought a lump, right? You spent this much. Well, in our case, we're building things, so we're cost segregating constantly. Basically,
Yeah.
that's just a general ledger, right? And so, but we do create for people tax deductions in the early years of a development, and then you would monetize that asset. I mean, we're primarily going to build and monetize these assets over a 3 to 5 year period, depending on the market. With this, especially these multifamily and rental residential communities, we will build them, lease them up, and then sell them. And the key there is we believe with the portfolio and the backlog we have, we can create a rolling investment for someone if they're interested in that, and that they can 1031. To do a
1031 into it.
1031 transaction is you have to have something to put it in.
Yeah.
So
Historically,
Ronnie, my experience has been, and my CPA got with me recently and said, somehow you get these gains from these real estate deals, but you have this depreciation that's offsetting it every year. So my tax bill is never has been an issue. It's rolling into the next deal,
it's the next deal. That's right.
and they've been impressed by that concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Stumbled into greatness.
What's that?
Yeah, as we stumbled into greatness. But
Right, exactly.
but what one of the things that we're going to do differently prospectively, which might be interesting to the group, is historically we had lumpy transactions, and you didn't have the predictability of knowing you had a pipeline of transactions. So we're confident now that if somebody wants to, we can complete a development, lease it up, sell it, and have an opportunity right behind it to roll into a 1031 non-taxable transaction to another deal. And we're going to offer it. We're in the process of marketing one of our projects today, and that will be something that is going to be available because we know we have a pipeline behind it. And that's what's different. This residential rental line of business that we've moved into is it's more repetitive, and it's easier to identify sites and execute on those than big 2,400 acre residential land developments, which are a little pickier and a little lumpier. So
And things take time, but those take time, right?
yeah, they take a lot of time.
You might sit on the 500 acres in your example for 6 years before anything happens with it, right?
Well, 500 acres would probably generate 1,500 homes, and you might be selling those homes at 200 a year, and so by 300 a year, and that's going to be a 5 to 7 year project for sure. 2,400 acres, you can translate that. Town Lake's a perfect example. 20 is a 20-year project for us. But once it starts, there's some municipal things that
Utilities.
in Texas But once it starts spinning off cash, it'll run over you. The Town Lake is probably a 6 times multiple.
Yeah.
Just over a period of time, but it very, very lumpy dollars.
Mhm.
So
Great. Thank you for that.
but yeah, so Miranda, let's go one. Yeah, so we talked about creating communities. We are placemakers is a phrase we've come up with, and up in the top right you can see making life better. I think all of those things are the core of the company. What Miranda's going to speak to next is, so I've talked a little bit about our company and what we've done. Miranda's going to talk about where we operate and why, the state. And then we're going to graduate from there to this specific opportunity we see in this growing senior 55 and above demographic that is sort of a wave. So Miranda, why don't you tell them we're going to pat ourselves on the back about being Texans.
Yeah, this is the fun part where we get to say how amazing Texas is. So we asked Arthur before the call, where's the audience? Where's everyone coming from? He said nationally. So if you're not from Texas or familiar, we're going to give you a lot of fun facts here. But this slide has a lot of information about job growth, no state income tax, great for entrepreneurs, corporate relocations, 314 in the last 10 years. So that's a big number. High earning households is a big number. So it's high earning jobs that are coming to the state, which we love for residential. So that one of the most important factors, Ronnie will get to it later, but one of the most important factors is job growth for what we do. So residential all depends on jobs, where the jobs are coming from. So this kind of says a lot of growth in the state. The most interesting stat on this page is that we've been number 1 or number 2 in U-Haul immigration since 2016. So for the last 10 years, you can see on the top picture of the US, there's a lot of negative numbers on that chart. We won't name names, but there are some pretty big negative numbers, and Texas is it is the largest in migration U-Haul statistics in 2024 with 85,000.
Isn't it wild that the U-Haul numbers have become a credible stat?
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. We had one of our analysts this morning. I said, pull the U-Haul numbers because that tells you where people are going. And we've highlighted in the picture of the state below the Texas Triangle, which we're going to talk more about. But this is a fun one. If Texas were a country, it would be the 8th largest economy in the world. So if you look at the list of countries there on the chart, you'll see Texas there at 2.7 trillion. Just below it at number 13 is the Texas Triangle. So a subset of the state that we call the Texas Triangle is Dallas-Fort Worth, down to Houston, over to San Antonio and Austin, up the I-35 corridor. So this is the growth area of the state. You, of course, have some of the oil and gas operations out here in West Texas, a lot going on out there still, but 77% of the state's GDP is in the Texas Triangle, along with 66% of the population. So big numbers there. We've talked as a company leadership team for a long time about, do we go out of the state? Do we go to the Smile States, Arizona, Carolinas, Nashville? We've looked at a lot of deals. And what we came to is that there's so much to be done in the state of Texas that we have enough to chew on for the foreseeable future. So our growth plans are focused on the Texas Triangle. It's a favorable business economic climate, and it's growing. So Texas GDP grew 45% faster than the national average. So, we'll get our hands out and pat ourselves on the back for all of that. But some fun things to think about. Demographic wise and population growth, these are staggering numbers, right? So for the last 15 years, 2010 to 25, almost 6 million new residents. In just 1 year alone, 560,000 new residents. Number 1 for absolute population growth for the 14th consecutive year. So these are demographic fundamentals that tell the story for real estate investing in Texas. At 23.6%, Texas more than doubles the population growth rate of the US. So for the last 15 years. So that's a long period of time for sustained growth over this time period. And this chart over here, this is the US population growth rates. You can see that line is consistently above the US all the way across, more than double the US growth rates. So just in the state of Texas. This is population and employment, so more population, but this is just interesting. From 2010 to 2025, 3.3 million people have come to the Texas Triangle. So these are Texas Triangle statistics here. Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. So you can see Dallas, Fort Worth is a combined metro. So that one, 1.4 million in employment growth, 2.2 population growth, just big growth numbers, big percentage changes over the years. So big deal. So in the last 15 years, Dallas has a population change of 50%. That's pretty big numbers. And then some more fun facts. Dallas Fort Worth, #1 metro for corporate relocations. A lot of headquarters coming to Dallas. It's a great central area for some of the logistics firms and different industrial shipping things. There's a lot going on up there. Austin's tech. There's a lot of tech relocation, semiconductor growth, Tesla's there, that sort of thing. And they're #1 best performing large city. Houston, #1 for exports. A lot of that's oil and gas. We've got a big medical center here. #2 US fastest growing metro in 2024. San Antonio, #10 destination.
And Miranda, one thing on Houston from the exports, they have a huge
Ship
port
channel.
of Houston,
Yeah.
which is
Port of Houston is
monstrous. So
yes.
a lot of everything goes out of this, comes in and goes out of the port of Houston.
Yes. And it's been expanded over the last 5 years, I believe, to accommodate larger shipping,
Yep.
Larger ships that usually come to California, but they're having trouble over there, so they come on over to Texas where it's
That's what's happening in almost every regard. People are leaving California, going to Texas, leaving New York, go to Texas or Florida. I mean, this is a trend that started with COVID, right?
right. It really picked up in COVID. It was happening, but not at the same rates. So 2020, we really saw an uptick in housing and all kinds of stuff. Yes, for the migration. So yes, it's been there. And then these are from the governor's website, so they're fun ones to go through. 54 Fortune 500 companies, top exporting state for 22 years in a row. Best state for business, 24 years in a row. I mean, go down the list. There's a lot of good factors that make Texas a great place to build residential housing, population growth, employment growth, and just a favorable business climate politically. What's not on here is if we were a country in the Olympics, we would have had 6th most medals in the Paris Olympics. So
I was going to ask, what
had
happened
to,
to
had to
Nice.
throw that one in there too.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay, so Ronnie's going to talk a little bit about the drivers, sort of hit on some of them, but
yeah.
he can hit on those.
Well, so I want to marry sort of what Miranda just spoke to, but when you're talking about real estate, there are 4 sort of really key variables that are important, and if they're doing well, then you're typically doing well in real estate. The demographics, which you spoke to, which is population growth, positive migration, but just actual head count, population growth, and then economic growth in the form of strong GDP, job growth, manufacturing activity. Those two, job growth and population growth, require housing, period. And so if you have those two things, you're in pretty good shape as a residential real estate developer, or as being in any part of the housing industry, which has been the experience in Texas. Then you combine that with a very, very favorable government and regulatory environment, in which I can't stress that enough, that being able to continue to be the state that we have been, and the job generator and the economic generator prospectively, is a meaningful way driven by government and regulatory environment. It is a pro development, so your entitlement and permitting processes are not as difficult. When you compare, you look at the people who've had their houses burned and all the trouble they're having from an entitlement standpoint. We don't have that trouble here. It's pro business and it's pro development, and so you counter that with other states and areas and communities that are anti everything, and that's why you have this migration. So when you and then the fourth one is interest rates, and honestly, interest rates have been a challenge. I think our environment today, we're not just with the rate drops, but there's been some real uncertainty. If you look back at the sort of the confidence from a real estate perspective a year ago, 18 months ago, to what it is today, there is a much more positive feeling. The banks are loosening up a little bit. Interest rates have come down a little bit. But of the four things we're talking about here, these sort of pillars, Texas is in great shape on three of them, and the fourth one we don't really control. Interest rates are out of our control, but we can influence those other three by how we run the state, make it receptive to incoming movements from businesses, incentivizing businesses to move, all those things. So Miranda's going to speak a little bit about this. So we've talked about the company, we've talked about the opportunity in Texas. She's going to speak more specifically to an opportunity in this segment of the industry that we think is really opportunistic for us.
Yes. So we've spent the last 12 to 18 months really focusing on the active adult rental space, which is what Ronnie mentioned in our what we do section of the presentation. But we are laser focused on growing our Cadence Creek brand, which is our 55 plus rental. And the reason behind that is fundamental. So you can see the macro wave of baby boomers aging, and that demographic wave has been a big subject in all ways, but a lot in real estate. So all the big funds and everybody's very interested in senior housing and how do we get involved. And when we looked at it, there is a lack of supply of active adult rental. There's an aging population. Over the next 9 years, there will be another 10 million people that enter into this age range. And there's a lack of supply of senior housing. So our active adult rental product, which we'll get into detail about all the whys behind it, but this is the demographic wave coming. You can see the age where people stop living in their own home. They live in a rental home, or they live with children, or they live in some sort of support setting where it's memory care, assisted living, or independent living. So you can see those are steep climbs on the charts once you get past the age of 70, 75.
So we got a couple questions. If 1 second,
Yes.
Miranda, if you don't mind. Is the market that you're going after in that age range people who their kids moved to Texas and they came with them and they're aging out? Or is it largely the indigenous population? Indigenous is not the right word, but you get my point.
Locals.
Locals, yeah.
Yes.
That are aging out, and
it is both.
yeah.
We have so many good jobs here in Texas that the young families are coming and taking the jobs and settling here, and the parents are following them.
Yeah.
So they'll come from out of state and they want to be near the grandkids, and they'll find somewhere to live close by the kids. There's also the parents retire and relocate to be with the kids as well. They could be local or from San Antonio, or and they just want to come be closer to be able to be involved in the kids' lives.
Yeah, makes sense.
This is the last demographic slide on
and I was
that.
going to say, just and Arthur, just the scale, the size of Houston, fourth largest city and sneaking up on Chicago. So
It's huge.
It's a really big place.
I was there a year ago with friends that are locals, and it was, it's not New York City, meaning you can't walk everywhere and all that kind of stuff, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's hopping.
Yeah,
It is. And if you think about Houston as a whole, just here we have, every submarket is its own large city in another state. So if every submarket is the size of a very large city in most states. So there's a lot of area to grow just here. And then this shows the aging population, or the population aging by group. So, fewer in the younger ages, and then you see just the large growth in the 70 plus age range here. And then Ronnie's going to get into the Cadence Creek opportunity. We're focusing on this segment of our business today and talk about why we love it.
Yeah. So Cadence Creek is our active adult rental community. And what we are building is we are not doing assisted living, and we're not. There's a spectrum, right there. It's funny. We think about capturing everybody. You get your first apartment, we build it for you. You get your entry-level home, we build it for you. You buy it, you move up in a home, you build it for you. Then you downsize into an active adult community home that you own, and then you leave that and go into one of these. And then beyond that, you might get, you assisted living, et cetera, is not necessarily what we do. But our company for 20 plus years was the leading developer of active adult lots and communities for sale. So every one of our master plan communities has a subset of 55 and above single family homes. And we have been dealing with and catering to and programming for that group for 20 plus years. And we have a tremendous amount of experience at doing that, and we're very good at it. And we watch and we survey and we gather data, so we know what they want. We know what they want before they know what they want from a programming perspective. But we've been doing that for many, many years. And then what we have graduated to now is there's another way to deliver for this group, which is a rental community, which is very important to them. The community part is important. A feeling of belonging is important. We do a tremendous amount of programming, but what we're building is a wrap product, 3-4 story wrap with cottages around it. And so what we are capturing there are people who are ready to move out of their house. They don't want to get up on the ladder and change the bulb, right? We're ready to do something different. And so they will downsize, and sometimes they'll downsize less and they'll move into one of our cottages. Other times they'll downsize into a traditional inside the building unit. But the objective there is to give them a place to go. What we are not providing is it is not independent living. We don't have a cafeteria. It's our view that this type of product will replace substantially independent living. Because what happens is independent living will charge somebody $4,000 a month because they're giving them 3 meals a day at the cafeteria. What we're building is a superior place to live, no cafeteria. People feed themselves. They feed themselves. And more importantly, there's so many different ways to have food delivered today than there was 10 years ago. All you got to do is pick up the phone, and we service them in a different way. We have food trucks. We have demonstration kitchens. We have catered events, but we're not charging them today for what they don't need, which is a cafeteria or a lot of healthcare, et cetera. It is all a la carte, and it's very custom. We have a relationship with Methodist Hospital here from a wellness standpoint. And so they can engage Methodist Hospital if they need help or they need some sort of assist during they do it individually, as opposed to we're charging everybody in the community for services that they don't all need. And then what we build are very, very nice, high-end, Class A communities with just a tremendous focus on what it is they want and how we can deliver programming and community to these people.
And is it Ronnie? We got a question here, real quick. Is it are there people monetizing their single family home, downsizing, so they've got a pile of cash now, and they'd rather pay the rent? And as you describe it, I'd rather come into a cottage or a nice apartment than go and hang out and play bingo and waste away, right?
Right. This is a very active community. There's events every single day. They're working out. They're at the pool. They have resident-led activities. Most of them do sell their home and come and rent here, but it's because they want lock and leave. They're traveling. They're going to, they're going
see
on
their
trips,
kids,
cruises.
right? Yeah.
One of the groups just took a big trip together to a cruise. So they're not, it's a very positive, upbeat environment where it's still an active lifestyle. And I think that attracts even more people that come in and visit because they're like, oh, this isn't, what I've thought this might be, as far as just.
Yeah. And our experience is the cottages are more often might be a couple, and the building might be a single, although there's both. And the age our average age is probably 70, 71, but it is a very, very sticky tenant. Very, very sticky resident. We have 75 and 80% retention. Yeah, which is on here, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once they're there and comfortable, they're not interested in leaving. And part of the
They're
reason
moving in.
Yeah.
They stay and renew.
Yeah, which is great. And so we've got two of these that are we have two of these that we've completed. Cadence Creek at Town Lake is 98% leased with a waiting list, and it's got 80% retention. We're on the market with that one. We will ultimately sell that. But that's one that's come full circle. So that one, and then Gosling is one that we've got where we did the building, and then we bought some land next door, which is going to be all cottages. The cottages are very complementary. One, they're very highly desirable. The rates for them are quite high, but it is a great complement to the amenities and the building, which has everything in it. All the meeting rooms and the fun stuff is in the buildings, and then the cottages wrap around it, but they are a premium because they are standalone with a garage and a little yard and that sort of thing. So it's a really, really good model. And we got one we're going to capitalize now, and we got 3 or 4 more in a pipeline. But this one is this model has been proven successful, and we're going to capitalize on this around the state, frankly. So
who you exiting to? Not specifically. Is it,
funds, pensions, institutions,
institutional buyers.
They just want a coupon.
Right. Yeah, so they'll buy it on a yield, and they'll want to see the rent growth, and
that's one of the things that we're
stable cash flow.
We have a stable cash flow. We have a sticky tenant, which gives you your cap rate will be enhanced because of that. We're seeing substantial rent growth year over year at both of them because I need to finish, but both of them, when we finished them, were number 1 and number 2 in lease up velocity in the entire portfolio of
Greystar.
Greystar, the ones who they manage tens of thousands of units.
Yes.
But ours leased up number 1 and number 2.
Nice.
This is a discerning tenant. They don't rush into it. And so you build smaller facilities, you build smaller unit size because the lease up is typically industry standard is 6 to 8, and we were 12 to 14. So we were double. And it's partly where we locate them and what we build. We are very, very particular. We have a whole algorithm on where we're going to locate. We take 15, 20 different criteria, put them into a mix master, and it picks hot spots for where we want to locate. And then within our land brokerage team, which we have a team that is out there chasing land deals, goes to try to find the appropriate place. We really, really like being in and around rooftops. We really like being in or around other master plan communities. And so the deal that we're going to have, and I would encourage anybody who's interested in seeing a little more detail on this, we'll have an offering memorandum we can send. But Cadence Creek at Kingwood. So Kingwood, Texas, go one more there, Brandon. Kingwood is in North Houston. There you go, right there. Downtown Houston is down here, but Kingwood is a fully developed and mature master plan community in North Houston. And we have identified and been able to acquire land from a church, which we're really pleased about, where it's located. So here you can see this is a if you pulled this picture out, it'd be a sea of roofs, but this is where it's located. There's a school there. There's some residential
and grocery stores and all that, right?
All that stuff. Yeah, everything is there. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So every grocery store, everything you're going to need already exists. And that's a big deal. The grocery store is a big deal. Access to healthcare is a big deal. This cohort is interested in how far am I from the doctors and that sort of stuff. And that goes into all of our evaluation of site location. So this is there's our building in the middle, and the cottages around it. That really will be our standard configuration. We will buy land that fits appropriately this type of site plan and community development. And I mentioned these are just some pictures. These are pictures of our other projects that are actually completed, but very, very high end. the community and the activities and the amenities are all geared and driven to this particular resident. It's funny, the playroom, whatever you want to call it, the clubhouse there, they have ping pong machines, and they have what's the little deal where the guy goes across the street, Frogger or whatever. They have all these, Pac-Man.
Yeah.
They got all these
They
all
have
these
vintage
games,
arcade games, which
all
are
these games we played when we
big
were
hit.
kids.
Yeah.
But
And then they're in there playing canasta and
yeah, exactly. A lot of cards being played,
a lot of cards.
a lot of bridge. So anyhow, but all of them are very well designed and highly amenitized. This is an interior look at a unit, just to give you an idea of what a unit might look like in the building. But we will do high-end finishes. That's just what we're really not genetically able to do anything that's not high-end. We'd go into some sort of spasm. So.
And it's got to be super nice for them to leave their house, even if it was a nice house, right?
Yeah.
With high-end finishes, to come in something brand new, not have to worry about, just text the HOA and say, something's not working, and you're done with it, right?
Well, and they are, and they really are, we say this, but if anybody's had a parent who's gone to one of these places, a lot of times they hate it, and they get there like, this is outstanding, they love it. And that's been the experience. It really is a happy place. And, they had what was that? Was it Gosling where they all dressed up?
Halloween party.
One guy was Hugh Hefner, and the rest of the ladies were bunnies.
Playboy bunnies.
Funniest thing I've ever seen. But
yeah,
they were having a big time.
Yeah.
So
it's just like it's just another Friday night for me here. I'm just saying.
That's right.
Exactly. So anyhow, so just below here, which and for purposes of this, so what we're doing today is we are raising money for this particular new development in Kingwood, and we're raising the money this quarter and next. We closed on the land early first quarter, so we're capitalizing this, and it will be under construction in 26, leasing up in 28, and then reach stabilization and probably be sold in 29. So it's sort of you can see we really model these things to be about 42 months, 18 months to build, 18 months to lease, 6 months to sell.
Nice.
Might be 36, might be 44.
All right. So is this the one you're actively raising for?
This is the one we're actively raising for. If we go one more, I think we've got some particulars on the.
So, yeah, let's before we run out of time, let's talk about how one would get into this. It's an SPV with an LP interest.
Correct. So we're raising just under $12 million of LP equity. This is a $51 million community development project. The bank loan is going to be 60%. It might be 62%, but that's kind of what they're doing these days. We typically have a piece of preferred equity and then traditional LP equity. And this LP equity can anticipate an 18 to 20% IRR and a 1.8 to 2 times their money. All those numbers are driven by cap rates, but we are conservative underwriters of projects. If we have some cap rate compression, which we think is reasonable considering the type of tenant and cash flow that these generate, those numbers will be a little better. But we'd like to sort of deliver something that's a middle of the road from a forecasting standpoint. But we have a much more detailed offering memorandum for people interested. But and what we're doing, our long game for this is we know we've got 3 or 4 more of these identified where we actually control the land. Yeah, here's the pipeline. Where we control land that we know we're going to be this type of community. And so we're going to do this one. And our objective is to try to create tiers of investors who say, I want to do 4 of these, but I'd like to do this one first. Let's see how it goes and get comfortable with us as a developer. But we hope we would build the same sort of loyalty with new investors that we've had with Dick, who says, I'm going to do every single one of these, which is a lot of what our investors do.
Mm-hmm.
But we have enough of them now to where we need some additional partners. We need some additional capital to go with the group we have to grow this. We really think this is a great opportunity and a great underserved residential rental property across the state. And it's easier to find locations because, traditional multifamily is a much bloodier ocean than this one.
Yeah, everybody
That's
was, it became too
and
frothy, right?
right. And this, we're not like I said, and we're also, we're tend to our knitting. We're not trying to be, we're not going to do mission care. We're not doing the other thing. We're going to do this. And we've spent 20 years serving this type of residential homeowner originally and now tenant today. And we're really optimistic on what kind of a portfolio you can build of these type of assets.
Is a new LP to you able to blend preferred and traditional equity check?
We typically, the preferred equity is typically a single placed with some of the firms who do that.
Oh, I
our,
see.
our hope ultimately is that the banks get back to a level of capitalizing these deals to where you don't have to have the preferred. The preferred equity is a necessary evil,
Yeah.
but we are raising LP capital for this. The preferred, truth be
Preferred
told,
equity is mezz, right? That's
it's
basically
MEZ.
mezz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can call it MEZ or preferred equity, whatever. But
Yeah.
but in this case, it's an accruing piece of security, and we're not paying current pay on it. But
Yeah.
I tell people I can go to Walgreens and get preferred equity. I mean, every shop in town has preferred equity. That's not really where we focus our time and effort. It's on the traditional equity, which has got higher returns and um, uh, better treatment from a tax standpoint too.
Yeah. So so go back to that slide. How many deals? You got 4 deals behind it?
We have
This is 4. There's a couple more that we could add to this and for land we own in some of our master plans, which will be probably 2 years out.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, so we have run out of time, but it's super interesting and make sure everybody gets in touch with you and see if we can't get some more folks involved. Just a quick editorial. Florida's great, but Texas is better.
Well,
You don't have to tell us twice.
I'm just saying that the migration to Florida was just sort of perfunctory. It's like, okay, we got to get out of here wherever you happen to be, whether it's California or New York. And some migration to Arizona, and then it got too hot, so people left. But yeah, Texas is, it's America,
yeah,
right?
we think that I like the marriage of the pros of Texas and this particular opportunity that is underserved. I think you marry those two things, and I think the migration is just going to continue to bring people who ultimately will look for this type of place to live. I mean, I think those two things together are, like I said, a very high floor is what I like to call it.
Yeah, it's not a good data set, but I have 6 friends that moved from California to Houston and Dallas. I mean, in the last 24 months, right? Just
Yeah.
enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've given up.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dick.
Thank you.
Really
Thanks.
appreciate you coming on, Dick and Miranda,
Yeah.
Ronnie, and everybody here. And we'll make sure everybody gets in touch and follow up with all this. And if anybody's interested in have others that might be interested in this opportunity, you're certainly welcome to introduce them to Caldwell. And as I always say, thanks for spending with us. The only thing you can't make more of, and that's your time. Till next time. Thanks, guys. Great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.